Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. This kind of goes along with my other valve guide video we just did in talking about how to make them. This is the results of a bad one. So this is a Chevrolet head, and here's a burnt valve. You can see it's cracked and it's burnt up. And that's due because the guide is worn out. It's actually fairly tight on the valve, but the guides rarely wear around, right? They'll wear this direction, so you'll be kind of oval. And the valve didn't have a chance to cool, and it died. So it burned up, and it was ready to crack and fall into the cylinder. So now we have to fix the seat, fix the valve. What you'll see here, the guys that were here before me on this Chevrolet head, or Ford head, excuse me, is that they reamed the guides. Now, reamed guides are acceptable in certain applications. This has an integral guide, meaning that it's cast into the physical head. So there's no guide to remove, knock out, and install a new one. And so what they do, instead of a liner, let's see if I can get the light proper. See, it looks like it's threaded in there. And what that does is that knurler goes in there and it pooches it out and it makes it smaller to tighten up on the valve. Well, it may not be round on the valve perfectly, and I'm pretty detail oriented, so and I don't do fast knockout work, but it won't be round. It will just tighten it up. Then you're supposed to go back through with a reamer and re-ream it to the proper size with the clearance. But it does leave those ridges. Let's look at some other bearings and draw something on the paper here. I use pink paper tablets so that they don't get stolen, or if they are stolen, I know who took it. So bearings in general. You see this bearing is a connecting rod bearing. And this bearing is non-pressure oil, so the oil has to get in there through those little holes. But other than that, the bearing is nice and perfectly smooth. If you read a lot of these different bulletins with modern, experiments and all with what makes the best bearing, and it's a smooth bearing, because imagine your tires going through a rainstorm. They're siped, they have a bunch of grooves in there, and those grooves allow the water somewhere to go, and it peels it off of the ground so your tire can make contact with the road. It's the same theory or idea with a bearing with a bunch of grooves in it. So gives a place for the oil to go, and naturally the bearing makes contact and wears. So in regards to the valve guides, how does this come in? Well, that's a bearing. Those ridges gives the oil somewhere to go. Yes, it may pull some oil or allow it to drop through, but it also gives it somewhere to go so that it makes contact. There's also another situation here. Let's draw this. With any bearing, if it's rough, say this is your base material and this is your surface finish that you left. You see, we left a very shiny and a very smooth surface finish. The oil doesn't have anywhere to go. It has micro cross-thatch pattern, which pulls the oil. And after I ream it, this is your surface finish. The first start on the hone, or when the engine's first run, you say, oh, well, I have 0.002 clearance. I'm good to go. Once you first run that, you're measuring from these peaks here. So once it starts and it starts being used, these peaks go darn near immediately. And now all of a sudden, you have 0.004 clearance. Or, I mean, I'm making up a fictitious number here, but you get the idea. The peaks knock off real quick, and then you're riding on these lower ridges. So your measurements may not be very good on a bearing with a poor surface finish. And that's what I'm getting at, is any of these peaks and stuff, you're wanting to, base your measurements on the peaks of the knurl or any kind of bearing surface. You got to knock those off, get a smooth surface to hold the oil and keep the oil between the two surfaces. Anyways, thought you guys enjoy and see the broken valve. See ya.